Hey everyone, welcome to Roo Hammer's weekly NRL round review, where this week we take a quick look at the results of both round 8 and round 9. Before we get started, I invite you all to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel to show your support for the content we create. Subscribing to the channel puts you in the draw to win some exclusive Roo Hammer merchandise, so click that subscribe button now. Rob, 2 rounds of footy to look back on, mate. Let's jump in and have a look at those results.
Absolutely, mate. Let's do this. Let's cast our attention all the way back to Thursday week for the beginning of ANZAC round night. And that was the Rabbits up against the Panthers at Accor Stadium. And the Rabbitohs came away with a 20 points to 18 victory. The Rabbitohs 20. Mitchell 2, Cook and Tass tries. Mitchell 2 from 4. And the Panthers 18. It was all Stephen Crichton, 3 tries and 3 goals. South Sydney, they scored 2 tries in the final 5 minutes, down Penrith 20 to 18 in a Thursday night classic at Accor Stadium. What a game it was!
It was.
And on the Friday night, just the one game, and that was the Eels. They took their home game to TIO Stadium in Darwin against the Broncos, and geez, it looked hot. The boys were sweating during the up there in Darwin, not known for rugby league heartland, but it's good to see the Eels always taking a game up there.
Yeah.
The Broncos 26 over the Eels 12. Farnworth, Reynolds, and Mam and Staggs tries for the Broncos. Reynolds 5 from 7. Eels 12. Gufferson and Seetho tries. Moses 2 from 2. Brisbane, they produced their most clinical first half performance of the season before fending off a late Eels comeback to win 26 to 16. It was in Darwin on Friday night. And then the Broncos, they ran in 4 tries in the opening 40 minutes to set up a 22 to 6 lead, with a combination of halves, Adam Reynolds and Ezra Mam running hot on the back of some strong platforms set by Payne Haas and Pat Carrigan up front early.
Absolutely. 2 cracking games. Super Saturday, because of the ANZAC round, there was only 2 games on Super Saturday. It kicked off with the Bulldogs up against the Sharks at Accor Stadium. The Sharks 33, Will Kennedy 3, Moylan, Katoa tries, Hines 6 from 6 goals and the field goal. Bulldogs 20, Burns, Casey, Waddell tries, Burton 3 from 3, and Flanagan 1 from 1 goal. Mate, a second hat trick of the season for fullback Will Kennedy led the Sharks to that 33-20 victory. Kennedy did the damage within 16 minutes of magic in the first half, and the Sharks did enough from there to record back-to-back wins for the first time in 2023. Following that game, mate, we were off to Queensland Country Bank Stadium for the Cowboys to host the Knights, and it was the Cowboys 18. Robson, Felt, did and tries, Holmes 3 from 3 goals, up against the Knights 16. Marzu, Young, Fitzgibbon tries, Miller 2 from 3 goals. It was a return to form by Scotty Drinkwater, which trumped the return of Kalen Ponga as the Cowboys hung on to beat Newcastle 18-16. In his third game back after a 3-game suspension, Drinkwater ran for 216 metres. He had 2 try assists as the Cowboys put a dampener on Ponga's 100th NRL game. And it was his first game since round 2 due to that long absence due to concussion.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Sunday started with the All Queensland affair. That was the Dolphins up against the Titans at Suncorp Stadium. And it was the Dolphins 28, Jennings 2, Nichols, Wallace and Aitken tries, and Asako 4 from 5 over the Titans 26. Randall, Liu, Fasu Malawi, Boyd tries, Boyd 5 from 5. The Dolphins, mate, this was unbelievable. Produced the equal biggest comeback win in premiership history as they beat the Titans 28-26 on the Sunday afternoon. Things had looked grim for Wayne Bennett's men at the end of the opening 40 minutes, in which they had just 38% of the ball, and they were outscored 4 tries to 1. But come the second 40 minutes, the Titans had no answer for their energy and relentlessness, and the Dolphins turned a 26-0 deficit into a 28-26 win. It just goes to show that momentum is everything in some of these games, and you just can't stop it when a team gets on a roll.
Absolutely.
Mate, must be said, Robert Jennings, the most talked about incident all weekend. What was he thinking? I have no idea.
I can only assume that he thought once he hit the ground, like his arms hit the ground with the ball, that there was tackle affected, even though no one was on him. Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
It's the last tackle anyway. And I thought maybe he was an extra 10 meters out from the line or something. But either way, like, it's just, It's just baffling.
It's amazing, really, the amount of guys that play first grade rugby league that still don't know all the rules. We've seen guys catch balls that haven't gone 10 meters, and like Jennings not knowing that you've got to have someone place a hand on you for it be a tackle effective. It's just, it's bizarre, isn't it?
It really is. New generation coming through these days, mate.
Absolutely.
After that, it was off to Campbelltown for the Tigers to host the Sea Eagles. And the Sea Eagles, they produced a 22-16 win. Sea Eagles 22, Cherry Evans, Olakalatu, and Saab tries. Garrick 5 from 5. Tigers 16, Staines, Coruscant, and Toa tries, and Wakeham 2 from 3. The Sea Eagles, they did survive a second half surge from the West Tigers to win 22-16. But fullback Tom Travojevic, he left the field while Anthony Seibold's side was trailing by 2 points to the winless Tigers. And it was desperate times for an error-riddled Manly, but a late Jason Saab try got the visitors over the line. Yes,
mate, yeah. I don't know what's going on there at Manly either. We'll get to them in a little bit in the round 9 results. But, some interesting stuff happening at Manly. Mate, the traditional 2 games that were played on ANZAC, that was kind of a weird weekend because we had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday footy, nothing on Monday. We had 2 games on Tuesday, and then we'll back into it again for the following round 2 days later. So
it's a really weird feeling. Yep,
it was. But the traditional 2 games played on ANZAC Day. The first, the 4 o'clock Roosters versus Dragons at Allianz Stadium, and it was the Roosters 27. Over the Dragons 26. For the Roosters, Tedesco, Radley, Keary, Manu tries, Swa'ali'i 5 from 5 goals, and Luke Keary the all-important field goal. Over the Dragons 26, Tautau Moga with a treble. Bird, Sloan tries, Lomax 3 from 5 goals. And as I said, it was a Luke Keary field goal with 6 minutes to play that proved the difference as the Roosters downed the Dragons 27-26 in what was a really enthralling Anzac Day clash. After the Dragons had fought back from 14 points down to level the scores at 26-all, it was the ice-cool Keary who landed that crucial one-pointer to cap a superb all-round performance that earned him the Aston Collier medal as the player of the match. And then to finish off the round, it was the Storm and the Warriors at Amy Park, another traditional Anzac Day game. And it was the Storm 30, Meaney 2, Olam, Munster, Grant tries, Meaney 5 from 5 goals over our 1 New Zealand Warriors 22. Dallin Watene-Zelezniak with a double. Ford, Fanua Blake tries, Johnson 3 from 4 goals. Mate, it can be said it was an unlucky result for the Warriors, who were clearly the better team, had the better field position and possession stats, but some poor decisions, refereeing decisions, that is, and 50-50 calls going against us, which really helped the Storm record that come from behind victory in a really close contest. A good result for the Warriors nonetheless in terms of Anzac Day games, as it's a game that we really haven't performed very well in for a number of years. So to only go down by 8 points was probably a good result in the end for the Warriors, albeit on the back of some very poor refereeing decisions, namely that Nick Meaney's second try where Remus Smith got hands on that ball. But anyway, we don't blame the refs.
Yeah, to not take a second look at that is puzzling, to say the least. Yep. And with everything that went against our boys with the injuries, toll, and what we just spoke about, to still be in the match in the dying minutes was tremendous effort. So we didn't lose any fans on that day.
No, we didn't.
All right, round 9. So on to round 9, which kicked off last Thursday, and that was the Cowboys travelling to PointsBet Stadium to take on the Sharks. And it was the Sharks, 44-6 winners. Mulatalo with a double, Talakai, Ramian, Katoa, Hines, and Wilton tries. Hines 8 from 9. Over the Cowboys 6, Kyle Felt try, Holmes 1 from 1. Another Nico Hines masterclass, a double to Ronaldo Mulatalo, and the Sharks with a 44-6 win over the Cowboys. Mulatalo took his try tally at the Sharks' home ground to 19 and 18 games. As Cronulla's outside backs, they ran riot in the 7 tries to 1 demolition. And this week he remembered not to put his hand on the sideline when he scored a try. The Cowboys, they missed 23 tackles, and the Sharks had 23 tackle breaks at the half and became a 38 and 38 stat respectively at full time. And in another phenomenal display, Sharks half Nico Hines took home the inaugural Paul Green medal.
Yeah, as you said, mate, a phenomenal display by Nico. And, mate, he's just one of those guys. He's the nice guy of rugby league. He does all the right things. He says all the right things. He won this medal, and then in the dressing room, he gave the actual medal to Paul Green's son, and he gave his game jersey to Paul Green's daughter, which I thought was a remarkable thing. Your mate, Mulatalo, mate, how about that fend Kyle Felt put on him in that for the Cowboys to score their try?
He went backwards about 2 meters.
He did. Mate, yeah, just on the Sharks and on Nico Hines, mate, we'll just digress for a little bit. Take your Queensland hat off and just put a general selector's hat on. Nico Hines has to be in that New South Wales
has
side,
to be.
He
has to be there. Absolutely. Form's too irresistible to ignore.
Absolutely,
so
it is.
I would have him at 6 for the Blues.
I would have him at 6 too. Yeah, I don't think Jerome Luai. I know Freddie likes combinations, but sometimes he's just got to pick the best 17 players and find a spot for him. And Nico Hines is definitely, he's in the top 5 players within the comp at the moment.
Oh yeah,
he's got to have a starting jersey. Friday night footy, mate, kicked off with the Eels once again back at home at CommBank Stadium to take on the Knights, and it was the Eels 42, King Gutho 3, Brown, Moses, Russell, Barlow tries. Moses 7 from 7 goals and a field goal.
Lucky you kicked that.
Yes, I know. Over the Knights, 12. Croker and Young tries. Miller 2 from 2 goals. As I said, Parramatta captain Clint Gutherson, he crossed for his first career hat-trick, which was a bit surprising, as the big names combined to put a poor Knights side to the sword with 43-12 win. Both sides traded tries early before the Eels produced 8 line breaks in the first half to set up a 30-6 lead against the Knights outfit that missed 65 tackles throughout the contest. That's close to an NRL record of missed tackles.
That is whopping.
It is. Yeah. Knights coach Adam O'Brien, he opted to start Kalen Ponga at 5'8", and that was a move that backfired with Ponga actually missing 10 tackles himself throughout the contest. The Knights, as I said, they missed 65 tackles in the loss, which included 35 in that opening 40 minutes. Parramatta made 16 errors in this game, which probably highlighted how they could have scored more points with chances going begging. The second of the Friday night games was the blockbuster Broncos versus Rabbits at Suncorp Stadium. It's weird that the Broncos got to play a game at Suncorp Stadium, but
isn't it weird? And on a Friday too. Yeah,
absolutely. It was the Rabbitohs, all class 32. Campbell Graham 3, Mitchell 2, Walker tries, Mitchell 4 from 6 goals over the Broncos 6. Jesse Arthur's a try and Reynolds 1 from 2 goals. And it was a rampant South Sydney that ran in 3 tries in 13 minutes to break free of an arm wrestle early and overcome the ladder leading Broncos 32-6. Rabbitohs centre Campbell Graham, he continues to give himself every chance of making his Origin debut this year with a first half double, setting up a 12-6 lead for the visitors after 40 minutes. And then he crossed for his third try as the Rabbits stretched their lead to 16 after 50 minutes with Latrell Mitchell and Cody Walker finding the spark that's required as the game hung in the balance in the middle of that contest. Mate, it has to be fair to say the Broncos, without Payne Haas and Ezra Mam due to suspensions, they ran out of gas and they had no answers for the Rabbits in that final quarter of the game with Mitchell crossing for a double late in the win.
Yeah, they are really starting to look ominous now, and Latrell Mitchell in scary form.
Yes.
Indeed. Super Saturday, mate. We travelled to Wagga at McDonald Park, where the Raiders took on the Dolphins. It was Raiders 31. Croker, Whiten, Rapana, Chris, and Fogarty tries. Croker 5 from 7. Fogarty with an all-important field goal over the Dolphins 30. Lemuelu with a double. Aitken, Tabuai Fido, and Jesse Bromwich with tries. Sako 5 from 5. And it was a golden point field goal from Jamal Fogarty, which secured a 31-30 win over the Dolphins. And it provided a fitting end to what was a dramatic week for the Raiders on Saturday afternoon. After a dream start, that saw them up 10-0 after the opening 8 minutes, in which they didn't have to make a single tackle. The Raiders came close to being overrun by the Dolphins. They looked to produce a stunning comeback for the second week in a row. What a story that would have been. But back-to-back sets in Golden Point, which came after the Dolphins were ruled to have played a loose ball, ended in Fogarty calmly stepping back inside and advancing kick pressure, and he nailed that one-pointer to seal the victory. Jack Whiten and Ricky Stewart both very emotional after that win. I watched Sticky's press conference. I think they had to call it off because it was just emotions were running so high there.
Yeah, it's kind of I kind of like the narrative. Like Jack Whiten's not the first player that signed a contract mid-season with a rival club.
Yeah,
and he's not going to be the last. But they're carrying on like it's such like heartbreaking stuff for the Raiders. I mean, every club's gone through it in the past. And then the Fox Sports commentators, they interview Jack White and they bring this, they constantly bring this up, and he breaks down, and they bring it up in Ricky's press conference. It's like, okay, we get it. He signed a contract with another club. It's not ideal that players do that midway through the season, but that's what's happened. Let's all move on.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, it was getting close to sort of days of our lives kind of stuff, and Ricky was talking about, we're having to protect the club here, and as you just said, like it's this is far from the first time that this has happened. This has been going on for a long time. But we all know we know what Sticky's like. He's an emotional guy and wears his heart on his sleeve, and that was just another example of it.
Absolutely,
yeah. The second game on Super Saturday, that saw the Sea Eagles at home at 4 Pines Park against the Gold Coast Titans, and it was amazingly the Titans 26. Khan Pereira, what a start to his NRL career. He got a double for Fafita, Sami, and Haas tries. Boyd 3 from 6. The Sea Eagles 10. Kepi with the lone try. Garrick 3 from 3. Just 6 days after capitulating 28-26 to the Dolphins, after leading 26-0 at the interval, as we talked about earlier, the Titans ground out a gutsy win without Brimson. He had a hamstring injury in that second half, and also veteran 5'8" Kieran Foran hobbled by a toe injury. The Gold Coast players vowed not to blow another halftime lead as they overcame the loss of, as we said, of Brimson, and they stunned the Sea Eagles 26-10 at 4 Pines Park. Foran battled on against his former Manly teammates to help steer the Titans to the victory after the Sea Eagles got back within 6 points midway through that second half. While forward David Fafita, also he had a huge impact, massive game from him.
He did.
And it's hard to get a read on the form of both of these teams at the moment, it must be said.
Absolutely.
Both up and down.
So hot and cold. So hot and cold, both teams.
I mean, 1 week Manly are looking like a top 4 side for sure, and then they produce a performance like this. And just when you think that the Titans are done and dusted, after last week they came back.
There's some internal rumblings at Manly. There's Christy Fulton has come out and really slammed Josh Schuster in the media this week, saying he's got this the wrong attitude around him. They're saying he should look at a guy like Kieran Foran, who's playing injured and doing all the right things for the Titans. They're also talking about the fact that they've signed Aaron Woods, and now they're signing Kyle Flanagan, and they're likening now, after such a great start to the season, they're likening Seabolt's tenure at Manly to his tenure at the Broncos.
No.
Where like the New South Wales media has gone all out on Seabolt at the moment. In good news for Manly, though, there's got to be an investigation. Jeff Tuvey's back in the fold. I think he's now employed by the club in junior development or something like that. So there, that was a story
I did see that,
which is pretty good.
Yeah. Always good to see a club legend back at the club, and someone like Tuvey with a bit of a character of the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mate, let's get on to this final game of Super Saturday. It's the big one. It was the winless Tigers in atrocious conditions at Carrington Park in Bathurst against the Premiers, Penrith. And it was the Tigers 12. Wakeham and Nofaluma tries. Wakeham 2 from 4. Of the Panthers 8. Peachy with a try. Crichton with 2 from 2. A 5-star performance by Luke Brooks. We haven't said that in a while. But that is what inspired the Tigers to a gutsy 12-8 defeat of back-to-back Premiers, Penrith. That ended a 273-day drought since their last win. That is a long time between drinks. Brooks led the season's Wooden Spooners to their first win under the club's new coaching staff of 2005 Premiership winning mentor Tim Sheens, David Furner, and Tigers great Benji Marshall and Robbie Farah as well. The often maligned halfback, he produced 240-20 kicks that led to tries. He ran the ball 10 times for 69 metres and finished with a try assist and 6 line breaks as the Tigers claimed the Royce Simmons Cup in wet conditions before capacity Bathurst crowd, and yeah, good on the Tigers.
Mate, they did all the little things right, didn't they? They just Api
did.
Coruscant spoke in his post-game press conference that they just played the long game, and that just basically means they did the little 1%ers right. They didn't force passes. They didn't try and do anything stupid. They held onto the ball, got to their kick. Luke Brooks' kicking game in those poor conditions was outstanding, and you got to wonder whether the Panthers are a little bit off the mark at the moment. They lost the previous week to the Rabbitohs. This week, they went down to a team that hadn't won a game for 273 days. Nathan Cleary under a little bit of an injury cloud, I think. Not kicking in that game. He's wearing, he's got a bit of a groin injury. They're also without guys like Liam Martin. They haven't got James Fisher-Harris playing either. They're without Taylor May. There is no Isaac Tungo. So they've got some injury concerns there as well. And then you add to that the loss of guys like Kikau and Coruscant from that premiership winning side. And, mate, they're right for the picking at the moment, the Panthers. And luckily enough, there's a team that we both support that get them this week at Magic Round. So,
let's hope so.
Speaking of our team, Sunday footy saw the Warriors return home to Mount Smart Stadium to take on the Roosters. In a game that was played in much the same conditions that we saw at Bathurst. Possibly worse conditions, I think, with the wind. Unfortunately, it was the Roosters 14. Nat Butcher, Sitili Tupanua tries, Swat Aliti 3 from 3 goals. The Warriors, a big duck egg 0. As I said, mate, injury-ravaged Warriors were unable to make a dent on the scoreboard despite having several opportunities. Mistakes and poor ball control in wet conditions were the Warriors' worst enemy, as the Roosters recorded their first away win of the season. And to hear more about this game, you know what to do. You tune in live on Wednesday night for our full game review, where we'll be chatting all about that loss, giving our thoughts and opinions on that. And we'll also be previewing Magic Round this week too, won't we, mate? We're really looking forward to that.
Yeah, can't wait for that one.
Absolutely. And the final game of the round, mate, was the Dragons versus the Bulldogs at Wynn Stadium. And it was the Bulldogs who come away with the win. Jake Averillo, 2. Corey Waddell tries. Matt Burton, 3 from 4 goals over the Dragons, 16. Toby Couchman a try. Both Matt and Max Figo scored tries. And Lomax, 2 from 3 goals. And, mate, it was an understrength Canterbury who secured their 4th win of the season with a Jake Averillo double, helping them to an 18-16 victory. 2 long-range tries to Averillo lit up the match and enabled the Bulldogs to take an 18-10 lead midway through the second half. But a costly sin-binning of Corey Waddell later helped the Dragons claw their way back into the game. Dragons twins, Matt and Max Figo, they each crossed for a try, and it was only the second time that these two brothers, I think they're twins, aren't they? Are they twins?
I think so. And they scored on the same day.
Yeah. It's only the second time they've played a game in the NRL together. So, yeah, good on them. Mate, let's have a look at the ladder. How does it look at the moment?
Okay, mate, it's shaping up like this. After 9 rounds, the Broncos still sit atop of the NRL ladder on 14 points. The Sharks have now moved into second on the ladder, with the Rabbits in third, Storm in fourth, and Roosters in fifth. They are all on 12 points. Manly are in sixth on 11 points, with the Panthers in seventh, and the Warriors have dropped to eighth after 2 consecutive losses. Both of those teams are on 10 points. The Dolphins dropped to ninth, with the Titans in 10th, and the Raiders have climbed to 11th. All 3 of those teams are on 10 points. The Eels moved to 12th and the Bulldogs on 13th. Both of those teams on 8 points. The Knights are in 14th on 7 points, while the Dragons, Cowboys in 15th and 16th, respectively, they're both on 6 points. And the Tigers are only 2 points adrift, amazingly, following their gutsy first win of the season, but still with all 4 paws firmly holding that wooden spoon.
Yes, they are at the moment. But, mate, I'll give you a bit of an insight. I've actually tipped the Tigers to win this week at Magic Round, so there's one for you. Yeah. As we said, don't forget, this coming Wednesday we'll be doing our full review of that Warriors loss to the Roosters live at 7:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time, 9:30 New Zealand time this coming Wednesday. Please, if you're a fan of our content, make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss any of the content. And other ways to show your support of us is to subscribe to our Patreon program. The links will be in the video description, or head to our Redbubble store and grab yourself some exclusive Roo Hammer merchandise. We've got plenty of designs honouring past legends of our club, current stars, as well as some novelty prints. I'm wearing the check everything #bunker shirt in honour of last week's game.
Yep.
That's it for this video, guys, and we'll see you all on Wednesday night.
Thanks, guys. See you then.